Good morning all my dear students. Hope you all are doing good. This is Professor Vaishali Sharma from Management. So today we will be discussing Unit 6 Controlling. So we have been continuing to discuss the management functions, and controlling is the last function amongst all these managerial functions. So the learning objectives of controlling would be that what is the management function, how the controlling takes place, the process and the techniques of controlling would be understood after discussing this unit. So if we talk about the concept of controlling, it is the process that measures current performance and guides it towards some predetermined objectives. This is often confused with lack of freedom. The opposite of control is not freedom but chaos or anarchy. So generally whenever we think of the term control, we think that somebody is trying to control us or take charge of our lives or our efforts or skills or performance, whatever it is. But we need to understand the true concept of controlling in the true spirit of controlling. So this is something very deep but really beautiful for us to understand, that control is fully consistent with freedom. Without control, freedom cannot be sustained for long. And here we can discuss and correlate this concept with the discipline. From ancient times in India, the Guru Shishya Parampara, discipline is the key component which is there. And discipline leads to that true liberation where the disciple learns the true potential and true meaning of life. So control basically helps you to walk the right path, just to identify that we are not deviating and no gaps are being created from what we have planned and from what we are moving towards. So without control, freedom cannot be sustained for long, and without freedom, control becomes ineffective. Both freedom and accountability are embedded in the concept of control. This is something all of us need to really understand it very carefully, and if you will ponder or contemplate on this concept of freedom and control, it will help you to lead your lives very successfully. So if we talk the various definitions about control, in the words of Coons and O'Donnell, managerial control implies measurement of accomplishment against the standards and the correction of deviations to assure attainment of objective according to plan. In the words of J.L. Massey, control is the process that measures current performance and guides it towards some predetermined goals. And Henry Fayol says that control consists in verifying whether everything occurs in conformity with the plan adopted, the instructions issued, and the principles established. Its object is to find out the weakness and errors in order to rectify them and prevent recurrence. It operates on everything, that is, things, people, and action. So, from all these definitions, it is clear that control consists in a comparison of the actual performance with the planned performance and the objective of discovering if all is going on well according to plans, and if not, why. What is the importance and significance of controlling? The following are the important benefits of controlling: that it leads to accomplishing organizational goals, it helps coping with change, it helps judging the accuracy of standards, it helps make efficient uses of resources, it helps in right decision making, it improves employee motivation, it maintains order and discipline, and it facilitates coordination in action. This is the controlling process. This is the 5-step model of control. First is setting performance standards. So first of all, when the objectives are clear, we know what the organization wants to achieve, what the department wants to achieve. So the objective is set, and then we have to set the performance standards for achieving that objective. So that is the first step, and then we have to measure the actual performance. Once implemented, the planned processes the measurement of actual performance has to take place. And then in the third step, the comparison of actual performance with standards has to be done to identify the deviations and the gaps, which is the fourth step. And then after identifying the deviations, why and what deviations have occurred, the corrective actions have to be planned so that we can come back on the right process. So if we elaborate this process, the criterion for judging the performance can be measurable or tangible, and non-measurable or intangible. So what are measurable? These are in form of cost, output, expenditure, time and profit. And what are non-measurable or intangibles? That are performance of a manager, deviation of workers, their attitude towards the concern. These are intangibles. So we have to assess both tangibles and intangibles to set performance standards. Then second step is measurement of performance, which leads to performance levels which are easy to measure, and sometimes they are really difficult to measure, and it may be done through various reports like weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly reports, or there could be another tools as designed and exercised by the organization. The third step is comparison of actual and standard performance. This is the comparison between the planned targets and the actual performance where we are moving. The manager has to find out two things. First is extent of deviation, and second is cause of deviation. Then fourth step is analyze those deviations. So in the important area of business needs, these deviations have to be corrected more urgently as compared to deviations in insignificant areas. So definitely the manager has to prioritize that which deviations need urgent attention, and the deviations in certain areas could be taken care by critical point control. It can be identified, and it can also be identified by management by exception. And the last step is taking remedial action. Once the cause and extent of deviations are known, manager has to detect those errors and take remedial measures. And these corrective measures for deviations which have occurred, and after taking these corrective measures, actual performance, if it is not in conformity with plans, the manager should or can revise the targets. So the control process is completely based on standards. So what are standards or benchmarks? So standards in control process are both quantitative and qualitative. So quantitative standards are expressed in terms of money, that we have already discussed in tangible and intangible, and qualitative standards are intangible items like attitudes, deviations, performances, these behavioral issues. These can be qualitative standards. Then measurement of actual performance is measured against the target, and benchmarking, if we